Thank you for joining us. My name is Diane.
And I'm William. And we're here to tell you a story about our friend John.
And his brother, Tony.
Tony has been diagnosed schizophrenic many years before this scene takes place. For years he's been living alone on a 44-acre bush in a log cabin just south of Bancroft.
There are many stories about these two brothers that we could tell, but we have chosen this one because it happened recently at a critical time in their lives. On this day, John drives up from Belleville to visit Tony. The reasons for this visit are twofold.
First, John promised Tony last visit that he would repair his pump, and so he arrives at Tony's cabin with the appropriate parts and full intention of doing this.
But the main reason for this visit is to try to convince Tony to go with him to town one day in search of additional social services.
Tony relies on John to help him keep afloat, although this help is seldom requested or appreciated when it comes.
John feels Tony is now closer than ever to being able to work with other people, strangers, and to receive service John can no longer deliver. And John is beginning to wear out. This tale is written in a partly dramatized form and will be presented as a reading.
I play John, moving from storytelling to dramatizing incidents that come into his memory.
And I comment to offer background events and time references.
John has not planned for things to develop the way they do this day. Tony's not here, and John finds himself spinning not only about Tony's absence, but also about memories that present themselves as he talks to himself, frustrated and fatigued. Tony's dog Reuben is here, and sometimes John addresses him. All the while, John busies himself trying to repair the pump.
It is a cold, crisp winter day, mid-afternoon. John has arrived by truck and is by the back door. Reuben greets him, barking.
Hey, Reuben! Oh, good boy. Yeah, it's me. How you doing?
Reuben barks again.
Yeah, I hear you.
John lifts some tools out of his truck.
Where's Tony, Reuben? What you doing out here on your own? Hey, where's your buddy?
John enters the cabin and looks around.
Damn it, he knew I was coming. Where the hell is he? Tony!
Reuben barks.
That's right, Reuben. He listened to you. You said you want your pump fixed, Tony. Well, here I am. Oh, that drive gets longer every time. I sure didn't feel like it this morning. Where the hell is he?
Reuben barks.
He must have left in a hurry. Usually leaves Reuben indoors when he goes. Is he in town today? Didn't say anything. I know all his appointments.
He begins sorting out his tools.
Monica! Shit! He must have told her to come and get him. Get him out of here before I came.
Monica is a neighbor who Tony claims to be his girlfriend. In fact, she is the latest predator to invade and threaten Tony's life.
Monica. Short of cash. Tries to sneak away when she sees me. Tried to run me down last time I was here. I'm on to you, girlfriend. Charging Tony $50 a ride. A ride you were taking anyway. Ripping him off. Used to be 30. So, you got a bigger truck. You need more money? Well, it's not his problem. Why should he pay your goddamn bills? He's on disability, for Christ's sake. As if you didn't know. And stop telling him he can sell this place for a lot of money.
Monica wants to sell Tony a piece of land and is trying to convince him to sell his cabin and land and buy from her. She tells him it would be a better deal and that he could build a new cabin on his new land. In fact, Tony hasn't the insight, building skills, or finances to make sane choices about this.
Boy, you'll happily stand by and watch him lose everything. Get all you can. Some friend. Poor bastard would be back on his own, with nothing, back hiding in the bush. No money, no family, dying.
John recalls how Tony had often come close to dying out in the bush for many years.
Oh, don't go there, John. Years ago.
John has vivid memories of how Tony had nothing for years until they made him this home.
You can't lose this. Look, it's a solid log cabin, running water and 44 acres of privacy, and by Christ, the sweetest smelling air you'll ever breathe.
John is only too aware of how the predatory world works and that Monica would happily rob Tony of everything he has.
Why, that's what she is. Another goddamn predator out to rob him. You thought he was safe here, John. Shows you what you know.
John thinks back to how he could often talk to his buddies about things and they would listen. The same cannot be said of Tony.
Most guys you can talk to for their own good, but even about personal stuff. Not him. Not a clue about himself. Gotta be so careful what I say. And what I want to say is, Tony, I know you think Monica's your girlfriend, but she treats you like a cash cow. But he won't have it. Clouds over, shoots me a fierce black look and leaves.
Although John understands Tony's reaction to Monica, Tony's naivety upsets him. There is no way to have a normal discussion about this.
I suppose he doesn't want me mucking with his fantasies. No big brother advice. Don't blame him. Nobody wants to hear from a big brother, especially of a girlfriend's. Now, what I want to say is, trust me, Tony. Just trust me. I'm the only one who cares. But who the hell wants to hear that? The only one who cares is your older brother.
And sad as that truth is, John knows he can't just give up.
You gotta keep on telling him, John. Spell it out until he gets it. You get a few dollars and she can smell it. Finds a way to grab it from you. Sells you her junk. Like that computer. She lied to you. Outright lied. Told you could get on the internet. Oh, gee, you don't even have a phone, for Christ's sake. She knows that. She's just messing with your brain. She gets firewood from you for next to nothing. You dragged out 200 cedar logs last year. Just about gave them to her. You wouldn't sell them to me. I offered you cash, good money. And you give them to her? Shit. And you smiling all the time she's ripping you off. You got nothing back, Tony. Nothing human, nothing warm. She'll flirt, that's all. You run out of money and she'll be gone. And take your dignity with her. You're my brother. You deserve better. You just walk away from me. I'm left all alone. You're my brother and you don't trust me.
At this point, John reflects on who Tony is. Tony won't have some conversations with him, and John tries to understand why. Then he reminds himself of Tony's condition and limitations.
I gotta remember there's weird stuff happening in his brain. That young doctor reminded me last month. Said he was delusional. Delusional? What? Well, I guess so. Hell, he believes everything Monica tells him. He won't trust me, but he trusts her. Yeah, I'd say he was delusional. Like when you were younger, Tony. You trusted your drinking buddies. Silly bugger would go into town, cash his check, flash a few bucks, then they'd follow him into the bush and beat him and rob him and laugh at him. Always somebody on the prowl, eh? Long time now since we got this place. Safe for 15 years. Till now. Till Monica. Shit. Tony has a safe place. Just leave him alone. Oh, I'm upset, Reuben.
Reuben barks.
Yeah.
And he barks again.
Yeah. You know that, don't you? You know that I'm upset. Yeah. Your buddy suffers from schizophrenia. That's what they say. Lots of stuff that he just can't figure out. First time I ever heard that word, schizophrenia, was at Kingston Psychiatric Hospital. Oh, I'll never forget that day.
When Tony was in his late teens, he often got into trouble with the local police. He was never dangerous, but stole stuff and did some minor damage to property. He would drink and then go out looking for some of his buddies. These were always guys who needed a patsy to do stuff for them. Tony was easily victimized and very unsophisticated. It was stealing some 8-track tapes from a car that finally got him into big trouble. Tony managed to escape the long arm of the law then by running. Next day, he decided to get some cash out of the deal. He took the tapes to the local hawk shop, gave them his name and address to get the money. Within hours, the police were at his door, and he was picked up and put in the county jail. John was out of town when this happened and learned about it later when he returned home. He went to the jail, but Tony was not there. He had been transferred to the Kingston Psychiatric Hospital because he had slit his wrists. No one had contacted the family. John went immediately from the jail to the Kingston Psychiatric Hospital to meet, for the first time, a psychiatrist. John was angry and frustrated and very ill at ease. He had never been anywhere near an institution like a psychiatric hospital and was afraid of the medical world. He was feeling very protective of Tony.
Schizophrenic? What the hell does that mean? Where is he? I thought he was in jail in the detention center. But they told me at the detention center they sent him here. He slashed his wrists. Why would he do that? What's going to happen to him? I saw him today. He looks weird, spaced out. Nurse said something about shock treatments. Look, no more shock treatments, doctor. I don't know much about most things, but I do know this. No more shock treatments. No more frying his brain. What? I surprised myself. I was fierce about those shock treatments. Not like me to challenge anybody. Real shy back then. Never had anything to do with doctors. Knew how to handle the cops, but doctors, no. Now you, doctor, you did that. You gave him those shock treatments without consent. Without my consent. So, Tony signed the paper, but he wasn't in his right mind. How could he give his consent? Well, I told that doctor, nothing without my consent. And no more medications without talking to me. I've seen people on meds move like zombies.
The doctor questions him about why he is so upset about how well Tony can move. Why is this so important to Tony?
Why? Well, because Tony runs like a deer. That's always been his best defense, to get away fast. He's got to be able to move fast sometimes. He can't lose that. As kids, we didn't get how the rest of the world did stuff. Never figured we were crazy, but knew we were missing out on some stuff, but never figured we were crazy, no. There he was, locked up in a loony bin, and I had to speak for him. Oh, my head was spinning like a top. Tony just sat on his hospital bed, and all he could say was, "Get me out of here. Get me out of here."
So, Tony did what had always worked for him. He ran away. Out of the buildings, across the grounds, eventually hitched a lift and ended up in Coburg, small town 150 kilometers away. When John was informed, he went to find him. Tony was taken back to the psychiatrical hospital.
In protective custody, for Christ's sake. And nobody missed him? 150 kilometers from here and nobody knew? What kind of a place is this? And do you know why he ran out of this madhouse? Because he was hosed down. Hey, I know washing is important, but 2 huge orderlies and a hose? Of course he ran.
When it came time for Tony to go back to court about his charges of stealing the tapes, he and John figured he would get a light sentence, if any. All he did was steal some 8-track tapes. He never hurt anybody. And the doctor had said he would recommend that he get rehab as part of any sentence. So neither Tony nor John was prepared for Tony's day in court.
I'm sitting in the courtroom thinking, well, you only stole a couple of tape from a car, for Christ's sake. Then that nasty old judge comes in. Half blind, half deaf. Couldn't even walk straight. Couldn't get up in the stand without help. He didn't even look at Tony, shuffling papers like he'd never even seen them before. 2 years less a day. I'm thinking, well, what about rehab? The psychiatrist said he'd get rehab. Instead, he gets 2 years in prison? Shit. Tony was stunned. I could have wept, but what the hell did we know? How could we be prepared for this?
Then Tony was sent to a minimum security prison farm just outside of Kingston for 2 years. One day he walked off the grounds and then ran. He got caught by the cops. He was still running. He was sentenced to a medium prison in Sudbury to do hard time for 2 years.
And nobody in the family seemed to give a damn. No discussion, no support. Nothing's changed.
When Tony was released, John borrowed a friend's car and drove up to get him. Tony opened the door, got in, and said, "Just drive." And he and John drove back to their hometown without saying a word. It was a bitter, cold day.
He never talks about that. Sudbury. Except once, when he said it was a shaking hard time. I bet it was. Jesus, Tony, you stole some tapes and then you tried to sell them for cash? You left your name at the hawk shop? Oh, you should have just gone to the cock shop and confessed. Oh, now there's a risk to society for you. Damn right he should be in jail. 2 rotten years.
Tony never talked about those 2 years, and he never talked about why he slashed his wrists in detention center, which is why he ended up at that psychiatric hospital. And he never talked about what happened to their mum before he slashed his wrists. She was found drowned in a local river. It was never clear what had happened. The police called it suicide, but there was no proper investigation. John went down to the police station and spoke with the officer in charge.
How do you know that she drowned herself? How do you know she wasn't pushed? Or robbed, maybe? Or just pushed?
She was fully clothed and had her purse.
You didn't even investigate. She's not important enough for you to investigate. Too much goddamn paperwork.
John's stepfather was a physically abusive alcoholic. The police had been called to their homes often, but they did not do a thorough investigation into his mother's drowning.
Suicide's easier. Looks better on your books. My mother died of neglect, and you neglected to find out why. If our family had had status, you would have been investigating.
There's the sound of a vehicle coming down the lane by the cabin. John and Reuben get up and go to the door. It is a hydro truck. John waves. Reuben barks.
Hydro guy. To read the meter.
They both give a disappointed sigh. The truck uses the drive in front of the cabin to turn around and goes back up the lane.
Well, at least he's not bringing bad news. Well, Reuben, since I'm up, I'm going to make some coffee. Would warm up my old one, but I don't trust that microwave. It's about to explode. But I gotta hand it to Tony. It's a masterpiece. Brilliant. A masking tape masterpiece. Shit. The fucker's not here. Well, I can't leave until we talk.
John is losing time and he needs to go back to work.
Yeah, that may be a while. If he's out with Monica, maybe I should call in sick. No, I can't afford to lose another day. I don't know, this Monica thing. He's looking for something. Ready for something new, some drama in his life. He wants a girlfriend. He wants to get laid, an adventure. Start fresh. Be realistic, John. She'll eat him alive. She wants cash. She'll take everything she can steal, and he has absolutely no insight.